Coronation Street spoilers, shock death upset Stephen sets sights on next victim. Roy is left facing the blame when a tragic death leaves Evelyn in mourning on Coronation Street next week. Meanwhile, Stephen looks set to vent his rage on Rufus, while Sarah faces temptation in the form of Damon. Ryan also gets a tempting job offer, while faces from the past upset Daisy on the eve of her wedding. It's your guide to all the Coronation Street spoilers in the week of the 20th to the 24th of March 2023. Peter is alarmed to find Stephen in charge at Underworld and accuses the factory staff of stabbing Carla in the back. Later on, Stephen is about to sign the American contract when Rufus appears with a new demand that he tear up the paperwork as he wants sole rights to Nipper. And if Stephen doesn't play ball, Rufus will tell everyone about how he's been drugging Carla. Picking up a whole punch, an incensed Stephen advances on his prey. After Nick finds none other than Damon sitting at his desk, he's menacingly reminded of the financial interest he still has in the business. And what's more, Damon has hired a new solicitor who Nick might have heard of. Nick will then be seen fuming at Adam for agreeing to act on behalf of Damon. And a horrified Sarah has her say, too, when she argues with Adam and announces she's off to the hotel he booked for their date night on her own. Damon, meanwhile, is ordering a drink at the hotel bar, only for Sarah to park herself next to him. Unaware of who he is, Damon then proceeds to chat up Sarah, who explains that she's had a row with her husband. Tipsy, Sarah then invites him up to her room for a drink. Cerberus the dog is sick, and a concerned Tyrone insists they take him to the vet, who suggests that this may be a case of food poisoning. It's a situation that leaves a guilty Roy confessing that he dropped an Eccles cake in the cafe, which Cerberus may well have eaten. An angry and fretful Evelyn then tells Roy that if anything happens to her dog she'll never forgive him. But her worst fears are realized when the vet diagnoses kidney failure. By the week's end, Evelyn will be left reeling following the death of her beloved pet and brands the cafe a death trap. Roy, for his part, tells Nina he's ditching his mobile phone as, had he not been distracted by it, he'd never have dropped the cake and Cerberus would still be alive. Ryan persuades Ally to meet him in the bistro, but ahead of her arrival, Ibiza club owner Crystal calls in and hands Ryan a business card. The next day, Ryan reveals all to Nick about Crystal having offered him a gig in Ibiza. But Nick advises him to think carefully about his options, which is his priority, this job opportunity or Ally. Glenda has her sights set on performing at Daisy's wedding and belts out some songs from behind the bar in the hope of winning the bride-to-be round. The Stags, meanwhile, are having a low-key celebration at the bistro. Yet Christina doesn't want her daughter missing out and reveals she's organized a surprise for Daisy. Enter two friends from her past, Samantha and Ellie, whose arrival leaves Daisy mortified. Just what is her issue with the two women? Gemma confides in Paul that the wedding venue is demanding full payment or the whole thing's off. And following this chat, Dee Dee then overhears Paul on the phone to his bank. Paul will also be seen revealing to Dr. Gladys that there's been no improvement in his hand. So the GP refers him to a neurologist. The trouble is, the neurologist informs Paul that the problems he's experiencing are unlikely to have been caused by the accident. A shocked Paul then learns from Dee Dee that, if this is proven to be the case, he won't be entitled to compensation.